This is my second video about borehole logs, and I will talk about rocks in this video. Watch it until the end because I will explain all the symbols that we use in the legends, and also I will attach a PDF file so that you can review it later. So let's start with the general information about borehole logs. It's similar to soil. You will see that we have all the information about where it was, the location of the borehole, so how it was drilled. You also look at the date and stuff like that. The most interesting things are shown here. Again, we're going to start from the left and walk all the way to the right. You will see that this part on the top, it's very different to this part at the bottom. Why? Because on the top here we have a soil, something like clay and fill material, and also a little bit of soft rock. You will see that they don't have this information is missing, and what we also only have is this value from SPT and test. And when we look below, so this is what I want to focus on today because it's about rocks. This is a few different things that I would like to explain that are different from soil borehole logs. So there are, of course, some similarities. The first thing is the description. So similar to the boreholes that I discussed in my previous video, you can also watch it. I will provide the link. You will see that here we have a definition of the rock, so a description what it is. In this case, it's a sandstone. This one has a laminite. So they have different types of rocks. So as we move towards right, you will see that next column is called degree of weathering, and it has all these symbols here. In the next slide, very soon, I will show you what these symbols mean. So typically, every borehole log comes with a legend, and you're going to have this one. As I said, please check the description of this video. You should be able to see the link, and that link will take you to the PDF of this presentation. So you will see that it varies from extremely weathered, which is EW, to fresh, which is here. There is a different gradation of weathering, and I'll probably have a different video about degree of weathering. Just please keep watching my channel. And then you'll see like how it is presented here. So it's very different from what we saw for soil borehole logs. It's kind of, you see, this is like vertical lines. So this means for this depth, the degree of weathering of this rock was MW, which is moderately weathered. So then from here, starting from this depth, and the depth you can see here. So this is where it gives you depth. For this depth, a degree of weathering became extremely weathered, right? And so on. You see, it's not just, like one point. It actually like covers depth of the rock. So next column is graphic log. So similar to borehole logs that we discussed in the previous videos about soil, you will see that for each type of soil or rock, it has a different graphic log. It's just, it's easier to see where the boundaries are, and also it kind of gives you some ideas about the type of rocks. So we'll skip that one because for this one we need to know the legend, and we currently don't have it. So next one is rock strength. So this is actually very important parameters, and I will teach you, I will show you how we can identify a different level of strength for rocks. Again, it varies from extremely low to extremely high, so there is a gradation. We have different things. I'll explain very soon. Similar thing in terms of representation on the borehole log. You see, it's kind of like a vertical lines that covers a depth. So for these depths, the strength was low. For this depth was extremely low. So and so on. Okay, let's move to the next one. So this one, there is water. So you see like water is missing. There is no water. There's no groundwater level here. So there is just no information about water. Let's go to the next one, which is spacing, fracture spacing. So this one typically you don't see on borehole logs with soil because we don't measure spacing. Spacing it's only for rock samples. So in this case, the measure spacing, so spacing between discontinuities again, the way that it presented is kind of covers a depth, not just one point, and then from these depths it will be spacing 0.5 meters. So this one is for spacing will decrease, decrease, and decrease, right? So it kind of always goes like this, like vertical lines. Okay, so next one is discontinuities. This is actually also very important. Again, this one comes with legend here on the top of the column. You see B stands for bedding planes, J for joints, D for drill break, and S for shear. And it also has all the symbols. Don't get panicked if you don't know the symbols, and it's also say veneer. I'm going to show you in the legend after I finish explaining what it is on the Borehole log. So next time it's sampling. So we took samples. And then this one is core recovery. Core recovery was 100%. I will show you formula later. And the RQD in percentage, it's actually very important parameter that we use for rocks for all rock mass classifications. I have a video about RQD. Please watch that one. You need to know how to identify it or at least what this means. Okay, so this is the kind of main things. Now let's see what this means. And I'm gonna go to the legend. So here the legend, and you can also have this one because this one covers everything that is borehole logs. So let's start with this one where we have information about strength. So this is the strength, and these are the symbols that I used in that borehole log in the previous slide. So this is explanation. So these symbols are spelled out. This one means extremely low, L means low, right? VH means very high. And another good thing, it has a correlation with point load index. I have a video about point load index, how to conduct the tests and how to analyze the results. Please also watch those videos. It will give you some like more detailed information about what I'm talking about. So this one, it's a guidance for engineers or practitioners in the field, so how they can identify it. We cannot really bring point load device with us to the field every time we go there. But when we read this description, so we know what approximately a level of strength this rock is going to have. For example, if we look at this one extremely low, so it says easily remolded by hand to a material with soil properties, right? With soil properties, right? So let's look, for example, at M. So what will be a medium level of strength? So readily scored with a knife, a piece of core 150 millimeters long and 50 millimeters diameter can be broken by hand with difficulty. So if you are pretty strong or have like strong fingers, then you can break it pretty easily. So in this case, you would estimate the strength as a medium, right? And so on. So let's look at this one, EH at the bottom, which is extremely high. So in this case, you are going to use a geological peak and try to break it with the peak. You're going to bring it, try to break it with many blows, but you cannot do it. And another important thing, when you hit it with a geological peak, is going to ring, right? So this is how we identify in the field that extremely high, right? So a similar thing we can do for a different level of weathering. You see, it has all these indices. If you're from different countries, maybe you're going to have a slightly different symbols and a slightly different terms, but in general, it's all about the same. So we have with something what we call extremely weathered rock and something that we call fresh rock. So if we have a little bit of stains on the surface of the rock, it's probably going to be slightly weathered. Sometimes, if we're not sure if it's slightly weathered or fresh, we can use two symbols slightly weathered to fresh rocks, right? A few more things that I showed before in the legend, but I said I'm going to explain this later. So there was, when we talk about discontinuities, there was lots of symbols there. And then you see, I said I'm going to explain it later, and this is what I'm going to explain it here. So this one, CN, means clean. So sometimes we look at the surface of discontinuities if there is no stains, nothing. So most likely it's going to be fresh rock. We're going to call it clean, right? So if it has a little bit of stains, we're going to call it stain. Then we're going to have veneers and coating. So these are two different things. Veneers is lots of stain, but the thickness of that stain is less than 1 millimeter. If it's more than 1 millimeter, then we're going to call it coating. and so on. So what I would suggest, guys, find this file. As I said, you should be able to download it and just use it for yourself when you go to the field or just when you read borehole logs. You should be able to understand what the symbols are. You should be able to read these boreholes easily now. As I said, there's a few definitions here, a few formulas for RQD, how to estimate RQD, how to estimate solid core recovery. So all the information is here. Just have a little bit of time and just try to investigate it yourself and see what this means. That's it for today. Thanks for watching this. Bye.